In the time of Mozart, everybody whistled his tunes on the street. And now, suddenly, I don't know why, nobody knows why, Mozart is only for the elite.
Whispers swirl through the grand hall of André Rieu's Maastricht estate. A haunting echo of villains floats through the air. And while the maestro still graces the world stage, rumors of a legacy too immense to comprehend are shaking his closest circle to the core. Behind the majestic waltzes, glittering ball gowns, and cheering stadiums lies a story far richer and far more personal than the public ever knew. André Rieu didn't just build an empire of music. He orchestrated a financial crescendo so powerful that it could outlive his fame. And now, his family, his beloved wife, his devoted sons, and even the very musicians who've stood by him are coming face to face with the sheer magnitude of what he's built. From private castles to platinum-selling records and controversial acclaim to royal honors, the numbers are jaw-dropping, the emotions overwhelming, and the consequences irreversible. What exactly is hidden behind the maestro's smile? And why are those closest to him moved to tears by the truth? Foundation of greatness. Born into a family where music wasn't just a passion, but a commandment, André Rieu's path to greatness was carved long before he ever picked up a baton. In the quiet yet culturally rich city of Maastricht, Netherlands, the Rieu name already resonated with weight and dignity. His father, Andries Antony Rieu, was a towering figure in the Dutch classical world, a stern conductor who led the Maastricht Symphony Orchestra with an iron baton and an unwavering expectation of perfection. But behind the prestige loomed a man who, despite his musical genius, rarely showed warmth, making the Rieu household one where discipline ruled and emotion had to be earned. André, the third of 6 siblings, was caught in a whirlwind of expectations from the moment he could walk. At just 5 years old, he was handed a violin, not as a toy, but as a responsibility. While most children his age were still learning the alphabet, André was already learning the language of Vivaldi and Bach. But even then, something about him was different. Where his father saw precision, André saw poetry. Where others clung to rigid structures, he sought freedom. He didn't want to simply perform classical music. He wanted to breathe life into it. As he matured, so did his ambition. He studied at the Conservatoire Royal in Liège, absorbing traditional technique with ease, before returning to Maastricht to continue refining his craft. But it was in Brussels, under the legendary tutelage of André Gertler, that André's raw talent transformed into a force of nature. Gertler, a violinist known for his uncompromising standards, saw in Rieu not just skill, but soul. André graduated with the coveted Premier Prix, a recognition reserved for the few who dared to push beyond perfection. Yet, even with these accolades, André wasn't content. The world of stiff concert halls and academic applause didn't fulfill him. He dreamed of making classical music a celebration again, something grand, immersive, and wildly emotional. From these early foundations, a cold home, a demanding father, a burning hunger for more, André Rieu wasn't just shaped into a musician. He was forged into a revolutionary force destined to shake the very traditions that raised him. Family behind the fame. Behind the glittering waltzes and grand concert halls lies a family story that's as complex as it is compelling. André Rieu, the global music sensation, has kept his private life tightly guarded, not out of secrecy, but out of fierce devotion to those he holds dearest. At the center of it all is Marjorie Kochman, his wife since 1975. A language teacher by profession and composer by passion, Marjorie has been André's silent partner in every sense, eschewing the spotlight to build a life that balances creativity with stability. Her influence is often understated, yet undeniable. Together, they raised 2 sons, Marc and Pierre. Marc lives a quieter, more private life, far from the whirlwind of his father's fame. But Pierre stepped directly into the storm. Now a crucial figure in the production and management of the Johann Strauss Orchestra, Pierre doesn't just inherit a name, he inherits an empire, and with it, a crushing level of expectation. The emotional gravity of André Rieu's legacy is not measured in euros or sold-out arenas. It's measured in the pressure to uphold a cultural institution. For Pierre especially, the challenge is enormous. He must balance being a son with being a steward, carrying forward a legacy defined not only by musical brilliance, but also by the love, sacrifice, and vision that built it. What complicates matters even further is the sheer scale of that legacy. André's fortune is vast, but so is the emotional investment behind it. His family are no longer just a family. They are the guardians of a brand that millions cherish. And as André steps back with age, the burden to preserve, protect, and perhaps even redefine that legacy now weighs heavily on the shoulders of those who once stood quietly behind the man who waltzed the world into wonder. The birth of the Johann Strauss Orchestra. When André Rieu founded the Johann Strauss Orchestra in 1987, many in the classical music elite rolled their eyes. A populist waltz revival with just 12 musicians? It sounded like a novelty act at best. But when they took the stage on New Year's Day in 1988, the atmosphere was electric. This wasn't just a performance. It was a declaration of war on classical music's ivory tower. Rieu didn't want to play for critics in tuxedos. He wanted to ignite joy in ordinary people, to bring elegance and euphoria to every corner of the globe. Armed with his priceless 1667 Stradivarius violin, Rieu conducted not only with technical mastery, but with theatrical flair. The orchestra's performances became legendary for their grandeur. Sweeping gowns, golden stages, and dazzling lights transforming every concert into a fairy tale. As the ensemble expanded to 50, even 60 musicians, so too did its global reach. Cities from Sydney to Sao Paulo and Vienna to Las Vegas were swept up in the magic. But behind the twinkling lights and romantic melodies was a business empire meticulously engineered for global domination. Rieu, often underestimated as merely an entertainer, proved himself a shrewd architect of success. His tours are multi-million-dollar productions, drawing in sold-out crowds and generating staggering revenues from ticket sales, merchandise, DVDs, and streaming platforms. What Rieu created wasn't just an orchestra. It was a phenomenon, a brand, a cultural movement. While traditionalists scoffed, audiences adored him, returning year after year for his joyful blend of music and theatricality. With military precision, his team coordinated logistics across continents, ensuring that every detail, from lighting to marketing, was flawless. In doing so, André Rieu didn't just revive classical music. He transformed it into an industry, lucrative, beloved, and unstoppable. Numbers that made history. Between 2010 and 2018, André Rieu shattered expectations and records by doing the unthinkable, transforming classical music into one of the most lucrative live entertainment experiences on Earth. While the industry was dominated by high-octane pop icons and rock legends, Rieu quietly and elegantly carved out his place among the titans. In 2011, his 102-show global tour grossed a staggering $67 million. Not only was that figure jaw-dropping for a classical musician, but it was also history-making. He wasn't just holding his own against Beyoncé, U2, or Lady Gaga. He was outpacing many of them in ticket sales, venue size, and fan loyalty. Each year, Rieu's tours pulled in tens of millions, with 2018 alone bringing in $55.9 million in tour revenue. And that's just the live shows. His empire extended far beyond the concert hall, feeding into DVD sales, streaming rights, branded merchandise, and exclusive distribution deals. The numbers were nothing short of cinematic, mirroring the grandeur of his stage performances. Fans didn't just attend his concerts, they bought into an experience, often returning year after year, building a cult-like following that transcended age, culture, and geography. In Australia, his impact was even more seismic. Between 2006 and 2011, André Rieu became the highest-selling artist in the country. By 2008, he had already hit his 100th platinum certification, an astonishing milestone that no other classical artist had ever achieved in such a short time frame. And the momentum only continued. His DVD sales regularly topped charts, and special cinematic broadcasts of his performances became massive events, drawing in sold-out theaters across Europe and beyond. The UK proved another unexpected stronghold. His annual Maastricht concert films, broadcast in cinemas across the country, broke records, becoming the highest-grossing concert films in British cinema history. These were not fleeting successes or one-time wonders. They were part of a long-running, meticulously maintained empire. André Rieu didn't just sell tickets. He sold emotion, nostalgia, joy, and pageantry. His concerts were celebrations. His fans were devout. At a time when classical music was often deemed inaccessible or elitist, Rieu turned it into an arena spectacle. The result? A tidal wave of financial success that rewrote the rulebook on what classical music could achieve in the modern world. CDs, DVDs, and a silent fortune. While most classical artists focused solely on concert halls and conservatories, André Rieu had a broader vision, one that extended far beyond the stage. He understood that the magic of music didn't have to end when the lights dimmed and the applause faded. Instead, he transformed each live performance into a tangible, lasting product. With the precision of a filmmaker, Rieu captured his concerts in cinematic quality, complete with sweeping camera angles, expertly mixed audio, and polished editing. These weren't just recordings, they were visual spectacles designed for mass appeal. The result? A tidal wave of CDs and DVDs that flooded markets across Europe, Australia, and beyond. Supermarkets, music shops, and online retailers couldn't stock them fast enough. Fans, many of whom still cherished physical media, snatched up every release, often in multiple formats. Rieu tapped into a demographic that the music industry was beginning to ignore. Older audiences with disposable income, an eye for tradition, and an appetite for collecting. In Australia alone, by 2011, estimates placed Rieu's music sales at over $50 million. And that was just one market. Factor in his monumental success across Europe, especially in Germany, the Netherlands, and the UK, along with streaming royalties, special edition box sets, vinyl reissues, and exclusive collector's items, and the true scale of his earnings becomes staggering. His physical media empire operated like a well-oiled machine, quietly raking in revenue year after year. What set Rieu apart wasn't just the volume of wealth, it was what he did with it. Rather than hoard his fortune, he reinvested much of it back into his vision. Lavish costumes, elaborate stage designs, a full-time orchestra staff, and international logistics became cornerstones of his touring success. He understood that spectacle sold, and he spared no expense in making every performance feel like a royal gala. That cycle of reinvestment didn't just enhance the concert experience, it fortified the Rieu brand into something far greater than a touring act. It became a global institution, rooted in tradition, but thriving on innovation. While others treated DVDs and CDs as an afterthought, André Rieu turned them into a silent fortune, a steady stream of revenue that underpinned one of the most successful musical empires of the 21st century. A visual spectacle. In 2008, André Rieu pulled off a move so audacious it rewrote the rules of live classical performance. While other artists might have settled for elegant lighting or a prestigious venue, Rieu brought along a full-scale, life-sized replica of Empress Sisi's castle. Towering, gilded, and breathtaking, the structure was the largest touring stage ever assembled at the time. It wasn't just a backdrop, it was the show. Audiences didn't just attend a concert, they were transported into a world of 19th century opulence, where every note of the violin echoed off marble-like pillars and golden archways. The logistics behind this operation were staggering. The set required an army of crew members, countless shipping containers, and weeks of setup and breakdown in each city. But Rieu's vision was never about cutting corners. He wanted classical music to feel immersive, theatrical, and alive, and he succeeded. While critics scoffed at the extravagance, calling it kitsch or unnecessary pageantry, fans had a different reaction entirely. They loved it. They didn't just come for the music. They came for the fantasy, the drama, and the chance to be part of something bigger than themselves. Financially, the gamble paid off. The tour brought in record-breaking crowds and cemented Rieu's status as a musical showman unlike any other. The visuals alone went viral before going viral was even a metric of success. Families came dressed to the nines, often in period-themed costumes, treating the event as a gala rather than a concert. The energy was electric, the atmosphere unmatched. More importantly, this level of stagecraft set a new standard. It wasn't just about hearing music. It was about feeling it, seeing it, and living inside it. And with each over-the-top production, Rieu didn't just build stages, he built memories. And memories, unlike performances, never fade. Awards and global impact. André Rieu's influence stretches far beyond concert halls and chart rankings. He's a cultural force recognized across continents. His achievements aren't merely tallied in ticket sales or platinum albums, but in the prestigious honors bestowed upon him by nations grateful for his contribution to the global arts scene. In 2002, Rieu was knighted with the Order of the Netherlands Lion, one of the highest civilian honors in his home country. It was a moment that elevated him from celebrated musician to national treasure. But his acclaim didn't stop at Dutch borders. In 2011, Austria, home to the musical legacy of Strauss himself, awarded him the Grand Decoration of Honor for his services to the Republic. It was a symbolic full-circle moment for the man who had resurrected the Viennese waltz for a new generation. In 2023, Rieu's global reach extended into the Middle East when he received the Order of Bahrain, First Class, a recognition rarely granted to Western performers. Then, in 2024, Chile honored him with the Pablo Neruda Order of Artistic and Cultural Merit, placing him among an elite class of international creatives who have made a lasting impact on Latin American culture. These awards were not handed out for spectacle. They were given in recognition of something deeper: Rieu's ability to use music as a universal language. He has also been awarded honorary medals from his birthplace of Maastricht, the province of Limburg, and the French Republic. Each accolade represents a cultural bridge, a nod to the way Rieu connects nations, generations, and traditions. When Rieu walks into a room, be it a gala, a government chamber, or a rehearsal hall, he carries more than his violin. He brings with him the weight of legacy, the warmth of diplomacy, and the unshakable aura of someone who has turned classical music into a global movement. Rieu is not just an entertainer. He's an ambassador of joy. The castle that holds his heart, perched on a hill in Maastricht, André Rieu's home, Huis de Torrenge, is more than just a residence. It's a castle straight from a fairy tale, draped in ivy and legend. Rieu has often shared, with a gleam in his eye, that the castle was once home to Charles de Batz Castlemore d'Artagnan, the real-life inspiration for the Three Musketeers. Whether myth or truth, the story adds another layer of romanticism to an already enchanting estate. But beyond its historical allure, Huis de Torrente functions as Rieu's private sanctuary, a fortress where music, family, and legacy intertwine. It's here, behind ancient stone walls, that Rieu finds his peace. The castle is reportedly where he composes, reflects on decades of performance, and strategizes the future of the Rieu Empire. It is not uncommon for close staff to describe the atmosphere as haunted by genius, with the echoes of past symphonies dancing down the halls. The estate, rumored to be worth several million euros, holds more than priceless instruments and lavish decor. According to insiders, it contains private vaults, sealed rooms, and a library of unreleased compositions, works that could, in time, change the course of classical music all over again. Whispers also suggest that a museum dedicated to Rieu's life and career is either in planning or already being built, hidden from public view until the time is right. For his family, especially his wife, Marjorie, and son, Pierre, Huis de Torrentes is more than a home. It's a symbol of everything André built. The thought of preserving such a monument without him is said to bring a somber shadow to the otherwise lively household. The castle doesn't just hold memories, it holds the heart of a man who turned music into magic and made a fortress sing. The heir to the musical throne. Pierre Rieu has spent most of his life in the shadow of a musical titan. As the son of André Rieu, he was born into a world of waltzes, world tours, and orchestral grandeur. But unlike his father, Pierre has operated quietly behind the scenes, masterminding productions, overseeing sound engineering, and steering the complex logistics that power the Johann Strauss Orchestra's global success. Pierre is more than just a backstage technician. He's been described by insiders as the operational brain behind the show. While André entrances audiences with his 667 Stradivarius and magnetic charm, Pierre ensures everything runs with clockwork precision, from lighting and stage design to video production and global media distribution. His influence is deeply embedded in the empire his father built. But now, as André begins to slow down, the question grows louder. Can Pierre step into the spotlight and lead the orchestra into a new era? Or will the pressure of maintaining such an emotionally and financially colossal legacy prove too much? There's no denying Pierre's competence. He knows the business inside out and has been groomed for years to take over. Yet, skeptics argue that charisma isn't inherited, and that the magic of André Rieu lies not just in the performance, but in the performer himself. The emotional connection fans feel may not transfer easily to a new face, even if that face belongs to André's own blood. Privately, some in the Rieu circle worry about the toll this looming succession could take on the family. With millions at stake, not just in money but in reputation, legacy, and identity, the transition is poised to be one of the most delicate phases in the Rieu dynasty's history. Whether Pierre embraces the stage or chooses to rule from the wings, one thing is certain: the future of the Rieu Empire hangs in a delicate, emotional balance. André Rieu isn't just a musician, he's an empire, a legacy, a living monument to passion, showmanship, and cultural beauty. And while the world celebrates his ongoing contributions, his family faces an emotional challenge few can comprehend: honoring the man behind the magic without losing themselves in his shadow. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear the music behind the headlines. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a story that brings the spotlight to the legends who shape our world. Because behind every waltz is a story worth remembering.